I did a mic swap. How does it sound? How's the mic volume? I did a bit of a swap. And all of a sudden it don't sound like it's working. What the hell's going on here? Do we have a mic? I tested this thing before. What the hell's going on here? Do we have a mic? Really? Sounds good? I don't know why I can't frickin' hear it. Maybe it's these headphones. Maybe it's the damn headphones. I might have to swap headphones here. I don't know why. Hang on a minute. Hello. These damn... I'm not hearing anything. Yeah, I'm using those retro headphones, but now all of a sudden I can't hear them. I'm getting no volume. Damn it. Everything was working fine earlier. I don't understand why I don't have any volume in the headphones. I might have to swap these out real quick. Where did I put the other ones? Now I can't. Where the hell did I put the other headphone set? Those aren't the ones. Hang on, they might be in Studio One. I do not understand what's going on. I can't hear a damn thing. And when I tested everything before, everything was working perfect. Damn it. I have no idea why I am not hearing anything out of these headphones. I don't understand what's going. There we go. All right. Whoa. Okay. I can hear. And the mic, you say, sounds okay. I'm back to my favorite mic, my Moon. This is the one that I have to hook to the. It's the XLR to USB converter. So the mic is sounding okay. Good. Okay. We can now get started. Because boy, do I have a mouthful to talk about today. So, let's get rolling here. Broadcasting. Shut up. Try it again. Broadcasting live from beautiful 12-degree downtown Cleveland. It's station WDWL TV, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I am your host, the grumpy old man, and fuck. The show is brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions. That's it. No bow. See ya. Oh, man. I'll tell you. What a morning. You know, I was really aggravated with this cell phone mess. Because I had the old phone number on the new phone and the new phone number on the old phone, and I didn't want the new number on the old phone, that's the problem with having 2 phones. So I called Spectrum this morning. And I says, is there any way we can swap the numbers on these phones? And the guy's like, well, why? I said, because the new the 2025 Moto G Stylus has a software update, and they did away with some of the features on the old phone, like all I have to do with the old phone, I don't have to put in a thumbprint or a code. All I do is swipe, and it opens and unlocks the phone. You can't do that on the new one. And there's some other features. He's like, no, nothing we can do about it. I was like, oh, okay. So I sat here grumbling, and I said, I'm going to call consumer. So I called consumer tech support. And I explained the whole mess, and the girl went through the files. And she says, what do you want to do? I says, I want to take and put my original phone number on my original phone and put the second phone number on the new phone. She says, well, what's the problem? I says, everybody's telling me we can't do this now. She says, here's what we're going to do. She says, shut the new phone off. Okay. She says, oh, wait a minute. There's something I left out. That really pissed me off. After I explained to the guy from Spectrum this mess, he says, well, why do you have this cell phone problem? I said, because you idiots demand a cell phone with the new service. He says, the cell phone has nothing to do with your internet rate. It's optional. I says, what do you mean, what optional? Well, we're offering you a year of free service to try our cell phone service. It's not mandatory. The cell and the internet are two different divisions. He says, if you want, cancel it. I said, it's not going to fuck up my new rate on my internet? He said, no. It's an option. I said, good, cancel it. So I called consumer and I said, you ain't going to believe this shit. I did not have to take their cell phone service. It was an option for me to try their service. The girl said, okay, so you're telling me you want to bring the other phone back to us? I said, hell yes. So she said, all right, give me the IMEI numbers out of both phones. Blah, 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 blah. I said, now, here's the problem. I have the numbers switched on the two phones. She says, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I want to put them back the way they originally were. She says, okay, I'm going to walk you through it. Good. Which phone are you calling from? I says, I'm calling from the old phone with the second number. Okay. Which phone is the SIM card in? I says, it's in the new phone. She says, all right. Is the phone off? I said, yeah. She said, take the SIM card out. Okay. I take SIM card out. I said, now what? She says, put the little tray back in the slot. So I put the little tray back in the slot. She says, now, you're going to need to call me back. Okay. She said, shut off the old phone. Take the consumer SIM card that you are no longer using and put it back in the old phone. I said, okay. It will automatically activate with your old number on your old phone. I said, really? She says, yeah. Shut the phone off, put the SIM card in, and call me. I shut the phone off, put the SIM card in, rebooted the phone. It came up, Consumer Cellular, with my phone number. I call her back. I said, so far it worked. She goes, well, putting your other number into the other phone is going to be even easier. I said, oh, really? She said, turn the phone on. I turned the phone on. She says, go to camera. Go to camera. Okay. I've got the camera up. What? I just sent you an email. Open the email, and it'll say your phone number, and then there'll be a little blue box that says activate. Click on that box. So I clicked on the box. She said, you see the QR code at the bottom? Which, yeah. She said, just aim the camera at the QR code, but don't take a picture. I aimed the camera at the QR code, and next thing I know, there's 4 blue dots spinning in the middle of the screen. I says to her, I got 4 blue dots in the middle of the screen, spinning. She says, when they stop, let me know. About 2 minutes later, they stopped. I said, they stopped. She says, good, now, restart the phone. I restarted the phone. The phone booted back up. She says, go to settings. Go to settings. About phone. About phone. What do you see? I see my phone number. We're done. You're good to go. Have a good day. All that bullshit yesterday, 5 fucking hours on the phone, we had it done in 10 minutes. My old phone has my old number. The new phone has the new number. Both with consumer, done. And I didn't have to go through that shit with Spectrum because the phone was optional. I said, nobody ever said optional. All I kept hearing is, we need a phone, we need a phone, we need a phone. The phone and the internet are apples and oranges. The phone, the free service, was a trial to see how I would like their service. I knew what their service was like. I just got rid of it. Not to mention they're using the same fucking tower that's down the street. Unbelievable. And you know what the girl from Consumer said? We go through this constantly. She says they always pull this crap in order to get you to take their internet or, whatever. She says that's why this switch was so easy. Because we go through it so many times. She says, we literally have a menu on our desk. And she said, I read the menu off. You did what needed to be done. Both numbers are with the right phones. Perfect. But it didn't, it didn't happen until the day when the guy said, it's optional. It's not going to affect your internet bill. We give you the year free to try our service. Like, Spectrum's phone service, there's going to be a unicorn in my bedroom in the morning. Unbelievable. I was so goddamn mad, but I'm not rocking the boat because I got that terrific, internet package for a year. Although probably, come December, they're going to go, gee, you didn't take our phone service, so we're not going to help you out. Never did anyone say optional. They said, you can try our service, but they never said, you don't have to. They made it sound like this package had to go together in order to get the reduced rate on the internet. Talk about pissed off. I would have hated to take my blood pressure right about that time. But within 15 minutes, both phones were back to normal. And, yesterday it was the guy from Spectrum that screwed this whole thing up when he said, well, just swap the two SIM cards between the two phones. And so I can almost imagine the fallout that I'm going to get from Spectrum. They're going to, how come you didn't take the phone service? It was free. Talk about sneaky. Oh, hey, I just noticed Oodles is here. How are you doing? Yeah, the original phone, my 2023 Motorola has a SIM card. The 2025 has an eSIM. And then the girl from consumer tech support could not understand why, with the phone being an eSIM, why they insisted on sending me a SIM card. Because when we did this switch last year, they didn't send me a SIM card. They did the eSIM switch. That was another thing that was really throwing a wrench in the works because nobody could understand why a phone with an eSIM had a SIM card in it. Because, like I say, I opened the camera and I zeroed it in on the QR code, and bingo, it was done. Reboot the phone, there's the number. Come December, if they pull this shit again, I'm going to tell them, hey, it was optional. You don't need to have my goddamn cell phone. Just give me the rate and let's be done with it. Because when the guy told me, he said, the cell phone, it's take it or leave it. It's not going to do apples and oranges. We're sell their internet. It ain't going to affect your bill. I said, good, then cancel the fucking cell. Well, you know, I had 3 different people from tech support at Consumer say, why do you have a SIM card in an eSIM phone? I said, because goddamn Spectrum told me I had to have it. Well, Kathy, what I mean by the new phone is the newer one. I have 2 Motorola Moto Gs. I have the 2023 that I bought. That's the Mystic Green that I bought direct from Motorola. And then the 2025 version I bought from Consumer because they had a hell of a deal on it. Plus, it had the newer cameras and a couple of other things. So that's why I say the new phone. One is the phone that I've had since 2023, and then I bought the newer 2025. And when I bought the 2025, that was the phone that I was able to keep the Obama phone number and put it on that phone. Because the Obama phone carrier released it. Because so many people have both numbers. It's confusing as hell. It's just basically the old phone is the 2023, and the new one is the 2025. One I bought directly from Motorola, the Mystic Green, and then I have the matte blue in the one I bought from Consumer. But see, on the new phone, I can't do that just swipe to unlock. I have to keep putting my goddamn PIN number in, which is no big deal, but it's nice to pick up the phone and just swipe, like an iPhone almost. And then there's a couple other changes in the software that I had in the old phone that they did away with. So, you know, it's a backup phone anyway. But I like the feature. The only problem is anybody can, unlock my phone. But all I got to do is just pick the phone up and go, quick swipe, unlocked, open. Well, Oodles, the phone number that is on my old phone, same thing. I've had it over 20 years. Let's see. When did I get this number? 2000. 26 years. 26 years. I've had phone number one. Phone number two, that phone number was on an Obama phone. And when every year you have to renew. And I forgot to renew, and they shut the phone off. And rather than go through the bullshit, I just said to, I can't remember who the carrier was, I said, can I have this phone number to put on a phone with Consumer Cellular? And the girl said, yeah, I'll give you a code and you give it to Consumer and you're good to go. So when I bought the other Moto Stylus, they said, do you have a phone number or do you want us to assign you one? And I said, well, I've got this phone number from my Obama phone, and here's a PIN activation transfer, whatever the hell they call it. And I gave her the number, and it was good to go. Yeah, it's like having a landline. Matter of fact, I tried to get one of two landline numbers, and I couldn't get either one. I wanted either the one from my childhood home or the one I had at my house that I owned up the street, and I couldn't get it. So the number that was on the Obama phone was a catchy, easy one to remember, and so many people had it. I wanted to take it with me because there's nothing more than a pain in the ass to change a number, and then you got to call 300 people, go, this is my new number. So I've had my first phone number for 26 years, and the Obama number probably 15. I'm trying to think when they started giving the old Obama phone numbers out. Whenever they started giving them out. You know, the Obama phones were a joke. Because I remember this guy had a van backed up to the sidewalk and a card table with an umbrella over it. And as people were going through the shopping plaza, he goes, I can give you a free phone. I can give you a free phone. I didn't need a phone. I had one, but I figured, fuck, if I'm getting one for free. I signed up, He did something on his computer, and he walked out and said, here's your phone, have a nice day. But then when I forgot to renew my information, they shut it off. And I'd had enough because that carrier was a pain in the ass. So I said, can I have the number? Yeah. Christ, I have 3 brand new Obama phones sitting in the box that have never been activated because they're all 3 Chinese crap. One of these days, I'm going to go up to cell phone shop up the street. We buy cell phones. And see if he wants to buy these 3. I don't even know if you can still get a free Obama phone. You don't hear about it anymore. I would tend to think, yeah. Not that I want a 3rd phone. Christ, I look like a fucking drug dealer. But it was nice having the free phone, even though you only got, 450 minutes? I think I think the program now gives you unlimited. I'm not sure. But at the time, even though I didn't really use the phone a lot, I would give that number, like, if I was buying something and, you got to give them a phone, your name, address, phone number. I would give them that because 9 times out of 10, you get a bunch of fucking spam calls after that. Here we go, Kathy. Oh, yummy. 6 days to go. I went up and picked up my case today. The case won't get me 6 days, I don't think. I don't know. But it's working, so we ain't going to complain. Why is this wire sticking up here? That's all right. Don't mess with wires. Yeah, it actually got up to 20 today. I was like, whoa, I'm going to the store. It's 20 degrees. Then I get up to the store, and here comes some teenage boy getting in a car, parked in the handicap spot. So, Kathy, grumpy. I walked over, I tapped on the window. Down the window went. I said, can I ask you a question? Yes. I said, what the fuck you doing in this parking space? Well, I just ran in the store real quick. I said, are you handicapped? Well, no, it's my mom's car. Then you don't fucking park in this spot. That placard is for your mother, not for you. Okay. Window went up, out he went. Oh, don't give me another ailment, Kathy, please. That's the last thing I need. I remember my uncle had the gout. I figure by the end of 14 days I'll be pissing cranberries. Think, 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 think. Yeah. Oh, you guys got some cold weather down there. The problem is you don't have the 2 feet of snow that we have. But you're getting the cold temperatures down there. Boy, I bet your daughter's going through some wood in her fire or wood stove. I'll tell you what, I miss my sister's old house with the fireplace. You know, there's nothing more relaxing than to sit and watch a fire. I wouldn't even watch the TV. I would just sit there and watch that fire. It was so relaxing. I miss it because, well, her new house is out in Bumfuck, Egypt, but it was so nice to sit in that living room with that fire going. I know some people think I'm crazy. You stared at a fire? Yeah, I stared at a fire, watched it burn, and fell asleep. But it. Sitting there watching that fire, I could almost feel my blood pressure drop. I got so relaxed. It was just amazing. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. There's nothing worse than busting a pipe in the fucking wall. Oh, God. Then you're dashing around looking for a shut off. See, that's the one thing when the guy replumbed this house. I told him I want shutoffs everywhere. On every faucet, I want a shutoff. And he did. They're every. I can shut the shower off. I can shut the toilet off. I can shut the sink off. I can go out in the kitchen and shut the faucet off. Everything has shutoffs because there's nothing worse than busting a pipe, and then you have to kill the whole house. Yeah, in a way it is, Kathy. Because as the fire burns down, you got to put a new log on, and then you got to adjust the embers. And yeah, I love that. I'd be poking around, moving, put a new log on, kind of move the burning wood so that the new log would catch. Oh yeah, I'll tell you what, I would give anything to have a fireplace. Well, of course, Oodles, it don't happen in 90-degree temperatures. And then, yeah, some areas are impossible to get to. Now, the shutoffs for my shower, in order to get to them, I have to take everything out of the kitchen cupboard and remove an access panel under the sink. So if I ever have to shut my bathtub off, I have to clear all the shit out from under the kitchen sink, remove an access panel, crawl in, but there are shutoffs right there. And it never fails, it happens in weather like this. But that was the one thing when the guy, see, this house was empty for 5 years. And my landlord, who is a guy, kid I went to school with from kindergarten, all he did was shut the water off at the main. He never drained anything. And this house had all copper pipe. Well, every piece of copper pipe blew out. So he had to have the house replumbed basically from the main shutoff up. And he used that, I never even heard of it, that white plastic, it's called PEX. He did the whole house with this PEX. And like I say, every faucet, because I didn't like the cheap fixture he put in my kitchen. And I happened to find a really nice gooseneck antique brass at Homeless Depot for 60% off. So I bought it, and I came home and I just hit the two shutoffs under the kitchen sink and loosened fittings and one faucet out, one faucet in, and matter of fact, I bought one almost identical a year later for the bathroom. I haven't put it in yet because he's got a crappy faucet on the bathroom sink. I kind of like the goosenecks. So it's almost identical, but I haven't put it in. But when I'm ready, all I got to do is turn off the tube. He put in them, what do they call them, ball valves. Just shut them off, loosen things up, take faucet out, put the new faucet in, back on. Because he had to change everything. New kitchen faucet, new bathroom faucets. Had to change the toilet because it froze and broke. Luckily, there wasn't a shitload of water damage in the house because one of the basement pipes, I guess, had burst first. And it kind of drained the system. But he yanked out every goddamn piece of pipe in this house. Because he told me, he says, I'm going to do it in PEX. I said, what the fuck is PEX? He comes in with this big roll of white plastic and crimp-on fittings. And away he went, crimp, crimp. Which made it nice because, like he said, you can angle around and bend and because I guess in most of your new homes, that's what they're using. Although they don't use white, they use blue and red for hot and cold. I didn't care. It could have been purple for all I cared. I just wanted water. Because the one day when I was at the homeless depot, I took a look at it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Red, blue. All I did in the basement was took a red Sharpie and followed the hot water lines, and I just every so often put a red Sharpie mark so that when you look, okay, that's a hot water, man, that's cold water. I did that for my he would have known, but just in case I ever have to do something, okay, red is hot. Plus, he had the house done in a day. He told me, man, if I'd have been sweating copper, I'd have been here for a week. Kathy, something strange, and I've mentioned this before. I can be outside. Well, if I'm outside for a while, my nose will start to run. I can go in any store except Mark's. I don't know what it is about that store. I'm in that store, and within 5 minutes, my nose runs. And I thought it was just me. And there's one cashier, she's the same way. She has to keep a box of Kleenex at her register because while she's at work, her nose runs all day. She says, I leave this store, and within 10 minutes, my nose is cleared up. I don't know what it is about going in that store. It used to be an old Fisher Foods. It's an old grocery store. I don't know. But it's strange. I can go into Dollar General. I can go into Dollar Tree. I can go into Save-A-Lot, Family Dollar. No problem. I go into Mark's. Yep. Dad, nose starts to run. And it's just that store. If I go to the Mark's up at 150th, no problem. Well, that could be. But why would they use a certain stripper at that store and not everyone? If that's what the problem is. Because I can go into any other Mark's store and never have the problem. It's just that store. And unfortunately, that's the store I shop at all the time. So I just make sure I have a clean handkerchief in my pocket. I kind of like having my old favorite microphone. I bought a new XLR to USB converter, and I've had it for a couple of months. And I was sitting here today going, I bought it, I haven't used it, let's try it. And then I went over in Studio One and grabbed the old Moon and said, we're going to use the Moon. I look like Walter Cronkite. It's similar to like Carson used to have on his desk and David Letterman and well, could be. You know, without seeing an ENT, you don't have an answer, but that's a possibility. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Oh boy. Oh, right here. Right at the back of my jaw. I would have thought drinking this shit every single day, I would get used to it. Nope. I'm gonna, as much as I hate it, tomorrow I'm gonna go to Gigantic Eaglet because they have a big cheese sale. And I'm hoping Brie cheese is on sale because I haven't had Brie in about a year. Yeah, I got the flyer. Big cheese sale. Okay. Go up and buy about 12 pounds of cheese, and then I'll be pounding beer steins of Metamucil for a week. That's okay. I like the cheese. Yeah, busy week this week. The 3rd, I go see my primary care and get yelled at. And if he yells at me again, I'm going to ask to see his partner. And then on the 4th, I have to go get a chest CT done for my oncologist. Doctor, you're still smoking. Trying to think what other appointments I have. I guess tomorrow I better fill out my wall calendar in the bedroom with all my February appointments. I think I have to see Dr. Tai Chi this month. I think I'm going to fucking cancel that. I got enough shit going on, let alone go. Think your pain away now. Yeah. And you talk about something irritating. For about a month now, every day there's a goddamn Tai Chi commercial that comes on. 21 days and You know, it shows this guy with this fucking big beer gut, and then 21 days later, he looks like, you know, The Rock. I achieved this by doing 15 minutes of Tai Chi every day. Yeah, you're full of shit, too. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to cancel the fucking meeting with the nutritionist, too. I don't need any outside aggravation. I got enough shit going on. I have to go see Dr. Whack. Which he'll want. I already know he'll want x-rays, detailed x-rays. Aren't they a pain in the ass? Oh, 21 days later, you'll look like, you know, Adonis. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're AI generated. If you watch the guy talking, the mouth don't move right. It looks like a real person, but the speech, if you really pay attention, is AI generated. So are the pictures, you know. The guy looks like Norm from Cheers, and then 21 days later, he looks like The Rock. Or like what Arnold Schwarzenegger used to look like. Just 15 minutes a day, and you'll look like this. Yeah, you're full of shit. I don't need fucking Tai Chi in my life. You know, Kathy, what it boils down to is one doctor sends you to another doctor to make more money. That's all it is. Oh, I'm going to send you to Dr. Tai Chi, and then Dr. Chai Tea, you know, Chai Tea, yeah, Chai Tea. Dr. Tai Chi is going to have you drink chai tea. Oh, it's amazing how many YouTube commercials come up that are AI. Especially like the one with the woman with the purse shop. You know, after 30 years, I'm finally going to, you know, close my store. And you watch the face, and the mouth ain't saying what's coming out the sound. Yeah, you know, my primary care wants me to see Dr. You know, Tai Chi and a nutritionist. Well, I don't want to see either one. But it's like, hey, I'm going to send you a new patient. Give me a cut. Because him and I are going to argue about that on the 3rd. Because I've canceled that appointment a couple of times. And he's going, oh, how come you haven't gone to see Dr. Tai Chi yet? Because it's a waste of my fucking time. And another hit on my insurance. How come you haven't seen a nutritionist? Because I'm healthy. And it's another hit on my insurance. Let's talk about my toe. The hell with talking to Dr. Tai Chi. Let's talk about Dr. Whack. Because basically, I don't know why my primary has to be involved, but it's a co-meeting with my primary and Dr. Whack. Because with my chart, everything is fucking visible. When he goes into my records, it shows me canceling appointments. My chart is a big fucking tattletale. Yeah, he can go in and go, oh, you've canceled that appointment twice now. How come? Yeah, any doctor with access to my medical records can see where I've been, what tests I've had, what x-rays, what CT scans, what MRIs, and what doctor appointments I've canceled. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I don't know, Doc. It's stuck in the system somewhere. Well, I never knew that my chart was a tattletale until one day I got questioned about canceling the appointment with the nutritionist. Well, I didn't cancel it. I bumped it out. And when I had a phone visit once with him, he said, oh, I'm looking at your chart. How come you have bumped that appointment out? And I said, well, I got more important things to do. Yeah, my chart is it's a great item. I like it, but it's a tattletale. Because they can look at your whole history. And unfortunately, everybody has got a my chart. I mean, it's nice because I can schedule appointments, I can ask questions, but it shows your whole life. But if he gives me any shit to what, Tuesday? Yeah, Monday's the 2nd, Tuesday. I'm going to tell his receptionist I want Dr. Dan instead. I don't want, I'm done with him. Give me Dr. Dan, the wonderful doctor that called me from his home on a Sunday after snow plowing his driveway. That's the kind of doctor I want. First of all, they don't yell at me, and second of all, I was shocked on a Sunday. Yeah, he went right in. I don't know if he has a little den or what. He went in, pulled my file up, went, all right, you're going to get these antibiotics, drink 750,000 gallons of cranberry juice. If I have to drink this shit any longer, I'll have a 7,000 gallon ocean spray tanker parked in my driveway. There'll be a pipe running right to the house. Have a spigot in the house. They'll run a long hose from a railroad car up the street. Here's your cranberry juice. How many gallons are in that railroad car? 80,000? Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, like I say, Kathy, if he gives me any shit, I'm going to tell the receptionist, give me Dr. Dan. I ain't seeing him no more. I'm done with him. I'm more impressed with Dr. Dan anyway. First of all, he didn't yell at me. Second of all, we had a nice long conversation. Shit, we were talking about Ohio State football and what else were we talking about? Oh, we were both. Whoop! That light just went out. It must have gone dead. Jesus. I thought I charged it. Evidently not. Yeah, I'm looking at the screen, all of a sudden, boy, it got dark in here. That's all right. I look better in the dark. I'm going to have to look for one of those other LED lights. There. Put a little blue mood lighting on the subject. Yeah, I got goddamn lights everywhere. It looks like a TV studio in here. They're easy. One of these days, I keep saying I'm gonna. It's right in the cupboard over here. I'm gonna show you that studio light that my buddy's son out in Burbank sent me. This thing could light up half the neighborhood. It's got the barn doors on it and everything. I'll dig it out and have it here tomorrow. See, originally, I had the idea, since I really don't use the living room for anything but storage, of taking and putting a couple of comfy chairs in the corner and having a studio where I could have a live guest. Because believe me, I have the microphones, I've got the stands, I've got the lighting, I got all kinds of shit. And then I was like, it's too much fucking work. But it would have looked nice, because it would have looked like a TV studio, like for a talk show. But I'm thinking, what the hell kind of guest am I going to get? My crab-ass neighbor Rob across the street, he'll talk about how he likes cutting my lawn. Yeah, every time he goes to leave, he looks across the street. And I can see him going, Man, somebody plowed his driveway. Who plowed the driveway? I left. There was snow everywhere. And I come back from doing DoorDash, and the driveway's plowed. And there's snow on my apron. Oh God, no, please. Please, Kathy. I don't want her sitting with every different weed that she's got in her garden. Because Marianne would have a basket. And this one here is kakamoki weed. You use this for blisters. And this weed here is yakabuchi weed. If you dry this and drink it, it's like a laxative. That would be her. I'd have a big pile of fucking weeds. If you take this one and you boil it, and you boil it down until it turns into a syrup, and then if you put it in a jar, it's a salve that you can rub on your hemorrhoids. You don't have to buy Preparation H. That's what this weed is for. I'd like to go over the weed whacker. She'd come out and have a heart attack. My weeds! Oh! I forgot to tell you. Yesterday morning, in my backyard, was the biggest fucking buck I have ever seen in my life. It was laying down. I thought it was a fucking bear with antlers. This thing was huge. I've had bucks in the backyard. This thing was a monster. He must have been on steroids. And had a nice rack, too. He had a 10-pointer. But he was huge. Because when I looked out originally, I thought maybe there were two. And then he stood up and I was like, holy yutcha-fuck, look at the size of that goddamn thing. It looks like a bear with antlers. He was laying down, and then he stood up and he kind of shook a little bit, and he turned around, he laid the other way. I was going to go out and take a picture, and I was like, nah, I'll scare him away. But he was there all day up until dark. But huge. Like I say, over the years, I've had, does and bucks here. This one was the size of two. It was that big. I have never seen a deer that large in my life. I should have got a picture. I really should have. And he had no tags, so he was wild. But yeah, I pulled a shade up. I looked. I was like, wow, there's two deer laying together in the backyard. And I made my coffee. I looked out the window, and he stood up, and I went, holy fuck. There's a bear with antlers. He'd have been a hunter's dream. He really would. Have a nice 10-point rack, and he probably weighed 200 pounds. Easy. I don't know what an average deer weighs. He was the size of 2. It was a monster. And he was there all day. He'd get up, he'd nibble on my shrub, then lay back down for a while, get up, nibble on the shrub a little more, lay back down, and he was there until dark. But huge, absolutely huge. I didn't know they grew that big. He looked like an elk rather than a deer. He was the size of an elk. But just a little munch now and then. Usually when I have a buck, there's a doe with him. Now, there's a good possibility the doe might have been laying behind the shrub. I never saw a second one. But every time there's been a buck in the backyard, there's been 1 or 2 does with him. So there's a possibility there was a doe sleeping behind or under the shrub where I couldn't see. And I didn't want to go out and disturb them because this is the first time I've had any of them back since the dog scared Mama away, But he was, oh my God. Talk about a trophy. But he was there all day, up until dark when I couldn't see out anymore. I was tempted to get the flashlight and shine it back there, and I was like, hey, don't aggravate them. I had one come to, I finally got another one to come back. But it is odd because I talked to the neighbors around me. I am the only one that gets deer in the backyard. Nobody else. Now, a couple summers ago when Marianne's peach tree was going berserk, they were laying underneath her peach tree. Well, I'll tell you, he had to be 2 to 250 easy. Because I have never seen one that big. And like I say, he had a 10-pointer on him, and it was a beautiful, he had a beautiful set of antlers. Absolutely perfect, both sides. And usually, like I say, there's a doe with them. Now, either she could have been behind my garage, or she could have been behind I have this big, huge green shrub in the backyard, back in the corner. And they like to eat it, which I don't give a damn. So I tend to think either she was behind the garage or behind the shrub. Because I've never had just a buck here. The buck is always accompanied by 1 or 2 does. Like the Three Stooges joke. Does the deer have a little doe? Yeah, 2 bucks. Oh. Corny joke, not mine, Three Stooges. Ugh. Ugh. Yummy. Good for the tummy. Well, good for the kidneys and the bladder. But I have to say, I am feeling 100%. Everything is back to normal. I have 1 day left of antibiotics and then I'm done. But I am feeling back to normal. So thank God. Oh, I don't want to go through that shit anymore. Nothing like going in to take a leak and then having to stick it in a bucket of ice water. And you hear the tss. if if I drive down 143rd and I cross the freeway heading south, behind the house that is right there is a big huge field. And during the summer there are 15, 20, 25 deer back behind that house in that field. It's cool looking back there going, holy shit, there's a herd back there. But those are my yard and that field are the only place you see them around here. Every now and then one of them goes, hey, come on with me. I'm going over to Grumpy's house for a while. I got a taste for shrub. Then a buck and a couple of doe come over and eat my shrub, and then they probably go home. Yeah, I could see the word going through the herd. Hey, anybody want to go to Grumpy's with me? He's got a good shrub in the backyard. It's like gourmet. Okay, I'll come with you. Nibble, 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 nibble. Of course, my backyard looks like a jungle. I don't mow it. Screw it. If Rob ever walked in my backyard, he'd have a fucking heart attack. Holy shit, he's got 3-foot tall grass and weeds back here. Oh my God. Get the lawnmower. No, I don't cut my backyard. Fuck it. I'm not having parties, barbecues. I don't. I haven't cut it since I moved in here. At the height of summer, there'll be 2.5, 3-foot weeds back there. I don't care. I have a lawn service that does the front yard, and screw the backyard. Plus the deer like it. They walk in, they go, oh, I like the way he decorated back here. Let's lay down and check the weeds. Oh, they hide us. When we lay down, they can't see us. That's the way I am. I have gone back there and moved rocks, and there's them little garter snakes, them little skinny, they about the thickness of a stick. Nothing poisonous. Yeah, they're about maybe a foot long. Every now and then I go out and pick up a rock. Oh, there's a little snaky sneaking under there. Okay, go back to sleep. Be my luck one day I'll go back there, there'll be a fucking 20-foot python. Holy shit! Like down in Florida. Jesus. Have you seen some of the snakes that they've caught down there? Goddamn people. Oh, let's get a python for a pet. Then when it gets like 3 foot long, they're like, shit. Let's take it out in the Everglades. There you go. Enjoy your new home. Yeah, once a year, they authorize snake hunts. And it's unbelievable, some of the huge frickin' pythons that they pull out of the Everglades. Jesus. And they say it's all caused by pet owners that the snakes got too big, so they just drive out to the Everglades. Here you go. Enjoy your new home. Plop. Then they look around. Anybody see us? Okay, let's get the fuck out of here. That and there was a snake hatchery or something that when the fucking, I can't remember what hurricane came through and a bunch of got released, but most of them are pet owners that thought it was neat to get a python. And then when they got bigger and bigger and bigger, they were like, oh, shit, what are we going to do? Oh, take it out in the Everglades. Let it go. And the suckers breed like rabbits. Christ, I remember watching a documentary, and they found a couple of nests, and there were like 200 eggs. So the problem down there was created by pet owners. Because the Everglades are, the perfect breeding ground for them. And like, I remember they were interviewing a fishing, a game guy, and he said, we know where there's the largest group of pythons because we're missing raccoons, we're missing waterfowl, we're missing, wild birds. Christ, some of them even attack the frickin' alligators. So he says, at that point, that's when we have a snake hunt. And we give the people this coordinates and go in and bring out as many as you can. And then they go in there and there's, 18 foot long. Plus, they tell them any nest that you come across, destroy all the eggs. But you know, it's like a needle in a haystack. They go in and they bring 200 out, and there's 600 more in there, hatching out of eggs. It's gotten out of hand down there. And it's people releasing their goddamn pets when they get too big. Well, didn't you read the handbook? You know, that little 12-inch cute little python is going to grow up to be 20 foot long. Didn't you bother to think of that? No. He was cute when he was small, but then when he ate Bowser, it was time to get rid of him. Yeah, wake up in the morning. Bowser, come on. Time to go out back. Take a piss. Bowser. Bowser. Wow, man, that snake is fat. Oh, there's Bowser's collar. Uh-oh. Time to get rid of the snake. Don't tell the kids, dear. Tell them the dog ran away. Why do we have to do that? Because the snake ate the dog. Oh, no. Well, you get rid of the snake and I'll go to the pet store and get a new Bowser. I was like I was watching this documentary on these idiots that keep these goddamn highly poisonous snakes. And there was this one woman, snake lover, and I can't remember what exotic snake she had that was illegal. She was moving him from one tank to the other so she could clean the tank, and she wasn't paying attention, and it bit her. And she was dead before she could get to her cell phone to dial 911. That's how poisonous this fucking snake was. Why would you keep something that goddamn deadly? Oh, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty deadly. I guess they found her a couple days later because she wasn't showing up for work. And when the police broke into the house, they saw she had all these tanks of snakes, and luckily she had them labeled. And the one, I don't know if it was a black mamba or what the fuck it was a deadly. And they looked at the tank and went, let's get the fuck out of this house. It's loose somewhere. And they brought in people from snake specialty, and they finally found it. But she must have had 30 highly venomous goddamn exotic snakes that you get illegal off the dark web. You know, the sorry thing is the damn UPS or FedEx guy don't know what he's delivering. Hopefully it's wrapped pretty solid. Oh, I have a package coming by a new delivery company. I ordered. Well, I ordered the different pods, different coffees, and the place I ordered from was not Keurig Direct. And I looked today on eBay, VD Express. I never heard of VD Express. Sounds like a communicable disease delivery company. We're VD Express. Don't bring no package here. Thank you. I just got over an infection. Yeah, these new delivery companies are popping up everywhere. That's what I thought when I saw it this morning. I looked twice and went, VD Express? Who the hell named that fucking company? And you go in to check the tracking number and it don't show shit. Left facility. What facility did it leave? The warehouse? Somebody's garage? That's all it said. Left facility. Because I asked them, I says, how do you ship? I said, I don't want Uni. I don't want GoFo. I don't want SpeedX. I don't want a Speedo. They said, our local carrier. Then today I see VD Express. Let's hope they put the package where it's supposed to go. Although I ordered this Salimo dark roast. Really good coffee. And they actually put the package in the milk chute. I couldn't believe it. Although it was UPS. Yeah, I came across this one doing a dark coffee pod search. Salimo. Solimo. Dark roast. Excellent. Excellent. I like dark roast coffee anyway. Once I'm totally 100% over my problem, I'm going to order some more of that double caffeine coffee. Rev. And boy, it does. It revs you right up. Twice the caffeine. REVV, it's called Rev. I haven't ordered that one in a couple of months. I don't know why. I was ordering that on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, this one really surprised me, this Salimo, because usually I get 24 pods for $13.99. This was 40 pods for $18.99. And it's good coffee. Good coffee. I'm supposed to have my certain item possibly next week. I can't wait till it gets here. Kathy's going, here he goes again. Once it's here, Kathy, it'll all make sense. And I could guarantee you will order this for your granddaughter. You will come up with something. It'll all fall into place once it's here. But I guarantee you will want to order this for your granddaughter because she'll go bonkers. She'll think you're better than sliced bread. Speaking of kitchen items, have we considered the potholder yet? Just wondering. No pressure. But I guarantee once it's here and I explain everything, you'll want to order this for her. Because it is so unique that, like I say, she'll think you're better than sliced bread with butter. Because you can order this aimed at her. Oh, good. That's okay. Hey, if it takes 6 months, that's fine. The anticipation when it gets here, it'll make it more of a surprise and more meaningful. So, no rush. Like I say, first of all, it'll be one I don't use. Knowing that it was made with 2 little hands, especially for me, it'll mean a lot. I'll hang it in my kitchen. But if it takes 6 months, no rush. She's got other more important things to do than crochet Grumpy a potholder. But it will definitely mean a lot when it gets here. Ugh. Well, God, it don't get no better. Blah. God damn. Oh, God, 6 more days to go. But I have decided that I am going to keep 1 or 2 bottles in the pantry. Because I don't think it would hurt once or twice a month to drink a few cups. Just to keep the plumbing clean. Crano. Cranberry Drano. Crano. Now I know what my ex went through. Because goddamn, I swear if you spelled U-T and you didn't even get to I, she had one. She had to have 4 or 5 of them a year. Really? Oh my God. That'd make me start buying bacon on a regular basis again. I'll tell you what, I miss frying like peppers and onions or making eggs. Even though I've got that nonstick pan, I would put a little dab, because I'll tell you what, bacon grease gives everything such wonderful flavor. It really does. I'll tell you what, since my crock got pitched, I haven't saved, well, I haven't bought that much bacon. But I would, like I say, I'd put a little dab in the pan and fry eggs. If I was frying peppers and onions or mushrooms instead of butter or oil, oh, I could feel my arteries clogging at the thought. But that's the way my grandmother, if she was going to fry something up, it was bacon grease. Matter of fact, I think every one of my aunts had a crock in their refrigerator. Because, back in the Depression, you didn't waste nothing. If you were lucky enough to have even the crappiest bacon on earth, you saved the drippings. Oh, really? I would go crazy just to have one. Because I remember in my uncle's barn, he had a box of them. I think everybody back in the day had them. And nowadays, people don't know what the fuck they are. Like that day that Laura and her husband from Laura Farms were at that farm auction. And it's amazing growing up in the country on a farm. Her and her husband looked in that box, and she picked one up and she goes, "What is this, Grant?" And her husband went, "I don't know. Never saw it before in my life." And there was a box full. And I'm thinking, Laura, buy that box. There's a fortune sitting right there. There had to be 30 or 40 of them in that box. And I'm going crazy here going, buy the box, buy the box. Well, she can't hear me anyway. I would hope somebody did. I would hope somebody went in and bought those up, because I would have hated to see them get bulldozed under or put in a dumpster and go to a landfill. Hemingway? Yeah, Ernest Hemingway, the author. Is that the Hemingway you're thinking of? Or is there a Hemingway crock or a Hemingway insulator? Yeah, green and blue were very prevalent. Clear and red are really hard to find for some reason. I very rarely have seen clear or red ones. I've looked on eBay and a couple other places, and you see the green and you see the blue. But as far as like a clear or a red or even an amber, you don't see too many. A Hemingway insulator? I didn't know they had a name for them. Although on the inside, they have threads. And if you look at the old telephone poles, where the wires would go through the insulators, they screwed them on. That's how they stayed on the pole. Really? Clear? Those are hard to find. I very rarely have I seen clear or red or amber, but I've seen the blue and green on eBay, and I can't remember the other sale site that I looked at. But they want like 25, 30 bucks a piece. And you know me, I'm cheap. I don't care what color. Just to have one. Because I remember my uncle had a box of them in the barn. Because when he ran the wiring from the house to the barn, that's how he ran it. He had an insulator where the wire came out of the house, and it went from the insulator to the insulator at the barn, and then inside, and then all the wiring was knob and tube. That's another thing you don't see anymore. The old ceramic or porcelain knobs for the wire and the tubes that went through the rafters. As a matter of fact, this house has got knob and tube up in the attic. I've seen it. Oh, I'll give anything for one. I'd like to have one of each color, but I'm not greedy. But see, Kathy, the average person, if they weren't around that, they have no idea what they are. But I remember driving down the country road to my uncle's farm, and every freaking telephone pole had insulators. I mean, that's what they used. And then if a farmer was doing wiring, they went to the hardware store and bought some so they could do their wiring. Oh, it was on the wooden thread. Oh my God, how cool! Yeah, you'd see. Usually, it was four wires. Every telephone pole, and the arm and the insulators were screwed on, and the wire went down the line. But I remember they were the ones my uncle had were green. He had a box. Oh, maybe there were like 10 or 12 in the box, and they were the green. I could see him going to the hardware store going, I don't give a care of a fuck what color, just give me some. And when, by the time I found out that my cousins sold the farm and everything, it was too late for me to drive out there and sneak in the barn and grab shit. Because I would have loved to had, he had a couple of old size, and, he had an anvil. I would have given anything to have the fucking anvil he had. It was mounted on an old stump. He had the anvil, and he had a bunch of hand size. Then he had a big one. And those insulators. And remember the push button light switches? Back in the day, instead of a toggle, they had push button. He had a box of them in the barn too, because his house had them in the house. All the old houses back in the day had push button. Push a button on, push a button off. Then they had the problem with the buttons would hang up, and then they converted to the toggle. As a matter of fact, my grandparents' house had push buttons. But I remember he had a box of them in the barn, But back in the day, who thought that they would be worth something? Now that shit's highly collectible. I would love to have one push button switch. I'd put it in my bedroom. But you got to get the faceplate too. That's probably about as impossible to find as the push button. But I would stick one in my bedroom, just for memory's sake. Because it was strange, because the house we lived in had toggle switches. Grandma's house had push buttons. She used to give me hell. I'd be on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Quit playing with the light. Okay, don't hit me. But I thought it was cool. I'd come home and I'd say to my father, how come we don't have push buttons? Because this is a newer house. Yeah, but how come we don't have push buttons? Because it's a newer house. Ask me one more time, I'm going to hit you. Like, I have a milk chute and I have a clothes chute. Newer houses don't have clothes chutes or milk chutes or coal chutes. That's one thing interesting. Unless they took it out and put a window, but this house don't have a coal chute. It has a milk chute and it has a clothes chute, which I love. I absolutely love that clothes chute. It's in the bathroom. That way I don't have to carry so much goddamn laundry downstairs. I open the bin and it just falls on me. Yeah, I mainly, I put towels and like my jeans or heavy stuff, I put in the clothes chute. And I have a basket down in the basement, and I just open the chute and falls right into the basket. And that way I don't have to worry about falling down the fucking basement stairs with a big goddamn laundry basket. Yeah, the house I grew up in had a coal chute and a coal bin. And then when they converted the furnace to gas, the coal bin ended up for storage. But the milk chute door, or the coal chute door, was still on the house. Every now and then I'd open it up and crawl out of the house. As a matter of fact, the house that my uncle bought for his daughter, it had a fucking dumbwaiter. Because it had two kitchens. It had a kitchen, like a half kitchen in the basement. And then it had a normal kitchen on the main floor with a dumbwaiter. I mean, the house was big, but I thought it was cool that there was a dumbwaiter. Because when they remodeled the house, they left it. And they ended up using it for a clothes chute. But it was the neatest thing. Over in the corner of the kitchen, open the door, like a little tiny elevator. They, like I say, they used it for a clothes chute. They had neat shit in the houses back in the day. But I would love to have one of them push buttons with a faceplate. Because, like, I'd put it in my bedroom. Just for grins. On, off, on, off. I'd be playing with it like when I on, off. I could hear my grandmother yelling, "Quit fucking with the light." Okay. Yeah, good old Chris Rader, the only guy I ever know got stuck in an elevator. Claimed the government was against him. They did that to me on purpose. Asshole. There's a guy that just keeps digging a deeper and deeper and deeper hole. I guess he's got charges against him in 2 states now. I don't follow him anymore. I think he's a little psychotic myself. Well, I think it's about that time, people. We've gone overtime 2 nights in a row now. Let's see if I can find my exit music here. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm glad the microphone worked. And we will meet again right here tomorrow night, the home of not 1 but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And everybody, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again tomorrow night. And the typical 2 see-yas. See ya 1. and see you too. See you too.